Bonjour and welcome, viewers and students, to Let's Speak French, Parlons Français. These lessons on basic French are short and easy, and if you follow the program regularly, I can assure you that very soon you will be able to understand French quite easily. The previous session focused on closed questions. In today's session, we are going to learn about open-ended questions. More specifically, we will focus on a particular kind of question that is composed of the interrogative adverb pourquoi, which means why. This lesson has been divided into 3 sections. In this first section, I will read out a text that has several questions that contain the interrogative adverb pourquoi. Then, in the next section, we'll focus on the grammatical aspect, where I will explain the different structures of this type of question. We will also study how to answer such questions. And finally, in the third section, we'll do an exercise to revise what we learned in today's session. We'll begin the lesson with a French text. This text consists of a dialogue that takes place one evening before dinner between a father and his young daughter. The girl is upset that her elder brother is not allowing her to watch the television. Rivalité fraternelle. Océane, pourquoi tu pleures? Claude ne me laisse pas voir la télé. Viens avec moi, on va parler avec lui. Claude, tu sais pourquoi ta sœur pleure? Non, je ne sais pas pourquoi elle pleure. Menteur, pourquoi mens-tu? Tu sais que je veux voir la télé. Mais tu vois bien que je suis en train de regarder le bulletin de nouvelles du soir. Océane, pourquoi est-ce que tu déranges ton frère lorsqu'il écoute les nouvelles? Parce que c'est lui qui m'a d'abord dérangé. Je regardais la télé et il a changé la chaîne sans me demander. Oh, ça suffit maintenant, Océane. Laisse ton frère tranquille. Tu peux regarder la télé dès que le bulletin est terminé. Oh, mais ce n'est pas juste, papa. Pourquoi est-ce que tu ne dis jamais rien à Claude? Ce n'est pas vrai, Océane. Oui, c'est vrai. Tu ne lui fais jamais des reproches. Et pourquoi Claude ne regarde-t-il pas le bulletin de nouvelles matinales comme toi? Il ne le regarde pas parce qu'il sort le matin pour faire du jogging. Allez ma puce, arrête de bouder. Viens m'aider à mettre la table. Dès que le bulletin du soir termine, on va manger. So this was a short text that has a few questions that consists of the interrogative adverb pourquoi. In the next section, I will explain to you the different structures of this particular kind of question with the help of this text. In the previous lesson, we learned about closed questions. In today's lesson, we will learn about open-ended questions. Unlike the monosyllabic answer that is characteristic of closed questions, open-ended questions are thus named because they allow the speaker to elaborate his reply. There are numerous open-ended questions which are categorized by the interrogative adverb used in the construction of the question. In English, these questions are known as W questions since they are formed by the following interrogative adverbs: what, when, where, who, and why. In today's lesson, we will focus exclusively on why questions. When studying closed questions, we learned 3 structures associated with interrogation. 1. Declarative sentence. 2. Insertion of the phrase est-ce, and 3. Inversion. These structures are also used in the construction of open-ended questions. Since we are limiting ourselves to questions that are composed of the interrogative adverb pourquoi, Let us see how these questions are formed in French. We'll first consider the structure of the questions. Then we will turn our attention to the construction of the answers. Before we begin, let me point out that similar to English, the French language also has several registers that range from formal to informal. A formal setting may call for a specific grammatical structure and expression which is often different from what is used in an informal setting. Although the level of formality isn't very noticeable while framing a question, there are a few structures that are generally considered slightly inappropriate in a formal setting. So as we go through each structure one by one, I will point out in which context that particular interrogative form is used. Let's begin with the declarative structure. In the text, we have an example of this particular type of question. Océane, pourquoi tu pleures? Tu pleures is the most basic sentence structure that is composed of a subject and a verb. By simply placing the word pourquoi before the simple sentence, we can turn the declarative sentence into an interrogative sentence. The structure of this kind of question therefore is pourquoi plus subject plus verb, that is pourquoi tu pleures. While studying closed questions, we learned that the rising intonation characterized this particular type of interrogative structure. One could turn a declarative sentence into a question by simply raising the intonation at the end of the sentence. But when the question contains the interrogative adverb pourquoi, one does not need to emphasize on the intonation to express interrogation. The word pourquoi functions by itself as an indicator of interrogation. To illustrate this idea better, let me give you both the structures. Océane, tu pleures? Océane, pourquoi tu pleures? The structure of both sentences is the same. Interrogation expressed through a declarative sentence. But in the first question, one must raise the intonation at the end to indicate an interrogation. But that is not required in the second question. The addition of the word pourquoi automatically indicates the interrogation. This structure is mostly used in the oral form. And since there is a lot more flexibility in the spoken language, one can place the word pourquoi even at the end of the sentence. Let me illustrate this with the same example. Océane, tu pleures pourquoi? Generally, when the question is long, pourquoi is placed at the head of the question. To give you a better picture, let me give you another example where the sentence is much longer. This example is not from the text. Pourquoi tu n'invites pas tes voisins pour ton anniversaire? Why don't you invite your neighbors for your birthday? With shorter questions, the speaker has the option of placing the interrogative adverb either before the subject or at the end of the question. Some grammarians, however, point out that it's in the informal French that one generally places the interrogative adverb at the end. Let me repeat the questions before we move to the next structure. Océane, pourquoi tu pleures? Océane, tu pleures pourquoi? Pourquoi tu n'invites pas tes voisins pour ton anniversaire? Now let us see how pourquoi can be used with the phrase est-ce. In the text, we have two examples of such questions. Océane, pourquoi est-ce que tu déranges ton frère lorsqu'il écoute les nouvelles? Pourquoi est-ce que tu ne dis jamais rien à Claude? In this structure, The interrogative adverb always precedes the phrase est-ce que. The structure is therefore pourquoi plus est-ce que plus subject plus verb. This structure is mostly used in the formal form. In the informal form, one generally tries to shorten the phrase by omitting either redundant words or long phrases. Since the structure pourquoi plus subject plus verb also expresses an interrogation, one often tends to forego est-ce que since it lengthens the question. Look at the two structures and compare. Pourquoi elle part si tôt? Pourquoi est-ce qu'elle part si tôt? Both questions express interrogation and mean the same thing. Why is she leaving so soon? But the former is shorter and used mostly in the informal form, while the latter is longer and used mainly in the formal speech. Let me repeat the questions before we move to the next structure. Océane, pourquoi est-ce que tu déranges ton frère lorsqu'il écoute les nouvelles? Pourquoi est-ce que tu ne dis jamais rien à Claude? Pourquoi elle part si tôt? Pourquoi est-ce qu'elle part si tôt? And now let's see how the third interrogative structure, which is inversion, is applicable to questions that consist of the interrogative adverb pourquoi. Before I pinpoint them in the text, let me explain to you a little more on how this particular structure is used with questions that consist of the interrogative adverb pourquoi. In our previous lesson, we learned that when the verb is placed before the subject, it is called an inversion. It is possible to use an inversion with a question that consists of pourquoi. However, unlike the other two interrogative structures, there are two distinct structures that are possible with inversion. These two structures are known as simple inversion and complex inversion. In both the structures, the verb precedes the subject, but what distinguishes them is the subject of the verb. In a simple inversion, the subject of the verb is always a pronoun, while in a complex inversion, the subject is either a noun or a proper noun. With this short introduction, let me now illustrate the two structures with concrete examples. The text contains an example of each type of inversion, and I will take them up one by one and explain to you the composition of their structure. Let's begin with the simple inversion. Pourquoi mens-tu? In a simple inversion, the structure is very straightforward. Pourquoi plus verb plus subject. Additionally, the subject is always a pronoun. In the question, the subject of the verb mentir is the pronoun tu. Now let me show you what a complex inversion is. Et pourquoi Claude ne regarde-t-il pas le bulletin des nouvelles matinales comme toi? To simplify things, let's consider this question as pourquoi Claude regarde-t-il le bulletin des nouvelles matinales? Now let me show you the structure of this question. Pourquoi plus subject plus verb plus subject. As you can see, the subject is mentioned twice. It is because of this repetition of the subject that this structure is called a complex inversion. The reason for this repetition is that the verb cannot precede the subject when the subject is a noun or a proper noun. In other words, one cannot use the structure of simple inversion when the subject is a noun or a proper noun like Claude. To help you understand, I will reframe the question using the simple inversion. Pourquoi regarde Claude le bulletin de nouvelles matinales? This question is grammatically incorrect. To rectify the error, we must insert the pronoun that corresponds to the subject. Since Claude is masculine third person singular, we use il. If instead of Claude the subject had been maman, we would have to use the pronoun elle. Once the right pronoun has been identified, the structure of the question needs to be changed as well. Pourquoi plus verb plus subject becomes pourquoi plus subject, which is a noun or a proper noun, plus verb plus subject, which is a pronoun. Pourquoi Claude regarde-t-il? Let me illustrate this with another sentence. This time the subject is a noun. Additionally, this question is in the negative form. Pourquoi la télé ne marche-t-elle pas? Why isn't the TV working? La télé is a feminine word. So when we repeat the subject, we must use the appropriate feminine pronoun elle. As for the negation, as you can see, the verb along with the subject, that is the pronoun, is placed between the pair of words that expresses negation. In a declarative sentence, it is only the verb that is so placed, not the subject. But in an inversion, the verb and the subject are connected by a hyphen and therefore they cannot be separated. So in the negative form of an inversion, the word order is pourquoi plus subject, which is a noun or a proper noun, plus ne plus verb plus subject, which is a pronoun, plus pas. Pourquoi la télé ne marche-t-elle pas? The inversion isn't as frequently used as the other two interrogative structures. The reason for its limited usage is its complexity when compared to the other structures. When the interrogation can be expressed through the declarative structure or through the addition of the est-ce phrase, one normally employs these structures rather than an inversion. Let me repeat the questions before we proceed. Pourquoi mens-tu? Et pourquoi Claude ne regarde-t-il pas le bulletin de nouvelles matinales comme toi? Pourquoi Claude regarde-t-il le bulletin de nouvelles matinales? Pourquoi la télé ne marche-t-elle pas? So these were the three different ways of framing a question with the interrogative adverb pourquoi. Now I'll show you how to answer a question that consists of pourquoi. The interrogative adverb pourquoi is always paired with the word parce que, which means because. Many a times, a question goes unanswered. This happens for various reasons, some of which may be: 1. It's a rhetoric question and the speaker does not expect any answer. 2. The listener feels the question is irrelevant and chooses to ignore it. 3. In certain situations, such as a quarrel, one does not closely follow the thread of conversation and may overlook a question. In the text, there are two instances of a question being answered. Although the interrogative adverb pourquoi has been used a number of times to indicate an interrogation, we only have two instances when the questions are answered. These two instances are: parce que c'est lui qui m'a d'abord dérangé. Il ne regarde pas parce qu'il sort le matin pour faire du jogging. The word parce que is a conjunction. A conjunction is a word that connects clauses. The word parce que functions as a conjunction that introduces a clause that gives a reason or an explanation. The word parce que is always placed at the head of a sentence or a clause. In the second question, we find that parce que is placed in the middle of the sentence, but in reality, that entire sentence can be broken into two clauses. The first clause is il ne le regarde pas, which translates as he does not watch it, and the second clause is parce qu'il sort le matin pour faire du jogging, which means because he goes out in the morning for jogging. We see that the second clause begins with the French expression parce que. So whether parce que features in a sentence or in a clause, it is always in the first position. In addition to its position, it's also important to know what follows parce que. Generally, it's the subject of the sentence that comes immediately after the conjunction. This subject may either be a noun, a pronoun, or a proper noun. Sometimes, when the speaker wishes to emphasize the subject, he may insert the phrase c'est or ce sont right before the subject. Parce que plus c'est plus subject plus verb, or parce que plus ce sont plus subject plus verb. The first question, parce que c'est lui qui m'a d'abord dérangé, is an example of this. In the dialogue, when the father blames the girl for disturbing her brother, she retorts that it was her brother who first disturbed her. Had she not stressed on her brother, her reply would have been, parce qu'il m'a d'abord dérangé. So one answers a question that consists of the interrogative adverb pourquoi with a conjunction parce que. Before we move on to the next section and revise today's lesson, let me summarize what we learned today. There are three different structures for framing a question that consists of the interrogative adverb pourquoi. To review these three structures, let's consider the French equivalents of the question, why are the children not in bed? Going by the three structures seen in this lesson, this question can be translated in the 5 following ways. Pourquoi les enfants ne sont pas au lit? Les enfants ne sont pas au lit pourquoi? Pourquoi est-ce que les enfants ne sont pas au lit? Pourquoi les enfants ne sont-ils pas au lit? Pourquoi ne sont-ils pas au lit? The first two questions are structured around the declarative sentence. One simply inserts the word pourquoi either at the head of the sentence or at the end. This insertion automatically changes the declarative sentence into a question. The third question is constructed with the phrase est-ce que, while the fourth and the fifth questions are an inversion. Had the English sentence been why are they not in bed, the inversion could have been a simple inversion. Pourquoi ne sont-ils pas au lit? But since the subject is a noun, the children, one has to use the complex inversion to frame the question. So here we have the three interrogative structures that are used to frame a question with the interrogative adverb pourquoi. As for the answer to such a question, one always replies with parce que. In this third section, we will revise what we learnt in today's session on questions with the interrogative adverb pourquoi. A short exercise has been provided below. We have to choose the right answer from the three options provided. The structure that needs to be used has been indicated within the brackets. Parce qu'il fait noir, inversion. The right answer is B. Pourquoi allume-t-il la lumière? Parce qu'il fait noir. Why is he switching on the light? Because it's dark. Parce que tout le monde dort. Est-ce que? The right answer is A. Pourquoi est-ce que tu chuchotes? Parce que tout le monde dort. Why are you whispering? Because everyone is sleeping. Parce que ton grand-père est malade. Declarative sentence. The correct answer is A. Pourquoi le médecin est ici? Parce que ton grand-père est malade. Why is the doctor here? Because your grandfather is ill. Parce qu'il n'y a pas de chaise. Simple inversion. The right answer is C. Pourquoi est-elle debout? Parce qu'il n'y a pas de chaise. Why is she standing? Because there isn't any chair. Parce qu'il pleut. Declarative sentence. The right answer is C. Vous êtes tous mouillés pourquoi? Parce qu'il pleut. Why are you all wet? Because it's raining. Parce que c'est dimanche aujourd'hui. Inversion. Complex. The right answer is C. Pourquoi Michel et Sandrine ne sont-elles pas à l'école aujourd'hui? Parce que c'est dimanche aujourd'hui. Why aren't Michel and Sandrine in school today? Because it's Sunday today. With this, we come to the end of our fourth lesson of chapter 4. This lesson was divided into 3 sections. In the first section, we read a dialogue that had numerous questions that consist of the interrogative adverb pourquoi. In the second section, we learned how to frame this particular type of question in 3 different ways. And finally, in the third section, we revised today's lesson by doing an exercise on questions that consist of pourquoi. I hope you enjoyed today's session. In the next class, we'll focus on the other structures of interrogation. I hope to see you in the next class. À bientôt. See you soon.